Hi everyone, welcome to Constellation Part 3 session. This session is quite simple. What we're going to do is we will explore DX APIs via Swagger UI, and also we will just go into a bit more details of what are DX APIs under the hood, under which service package these REST APIs are hosted, and what are the service activities exactly doing. Okay, this will help us to know a bit more details. Without any further delay, let's jump into the concept. Okay, for that, I'll take you to the application what we have created in our previous sessions. And this is a payment services application, as you all know. And right now we are on Cosmos React application, a constellation based application. Right, we see on the portal my work list, my followed items, and pulse items. We see a lot of things. And in the last session, we have also seen the architecture, and we have seen a simple use case of how the data is getting rendered onto the portal with the help of multiple DX APIs. Yeah, today's session, what we will do is first we will pick one DX API. For that, what I'm going to do is let's take the any of the capture product details section. In this case, let me take this one. So when I navigate to any of these capture product details assignment, what information it is exactly fetching, right? So for that, when we click on go for this particular case P-2009, what happens in the background to trace that, what we will do is we will open developer portals. I'm clicking on Control Shift I just open developer portals. You can also navigate from here, more tools and developer tools, and you can use the shortcut Control Shift I if you're using a Windows system. Okay, and go to this network trace, and when you're clicking on the assignment on your task, what you do is capture this network trace, right? So I'm clicking on go, and let us observe what is happening. Yep, I see a request which went to the server, and then I see the section got rendered with the detail what we want. In this case, product list is the view, I should say. Section is the wrong word. So here I see the view capture product details, which has the product list, and I see the items. I can start adding the items as a user, but I'm more interested in how this view is presented to me via DX API, right? So for that, I am more interested in these requests. I see the first request in itself is assign work list, which is 200, and the response is good, right? And then let us look at what is this request exactly. So I click on that, then I navigate to headers tab, then I nicely see what is the request URL. In that, please notice this API slash application slash v2 slash assignments. For simplicity, what I'll try to do is I'll take this one into a notepad so that I show you things when I need it. I can again pull it back. I'm just taking a backup into one simple notepad so that I can show you again. Now let me also show you. This is how I have noted that down. So important thing to note here is this is the assignment ID. So whatever assignment we have clicked on, it has taken the key of that particular assignment, and then it passed to one query string parameter, which is view type equals to page, and there is an API which is application slash v2 slash assignments. So as per Pega terminology, we know how the services are hosted in Pega, right? Even if you don't know, that's fine. Okay, we'll take a look at this. In this, application is the name of the service package, and within that we will see what is v2 and what is assignments in a brief period. Okay, just in few minutes we will go there and we will look at it. But before that, let us go and take a quick look from Swagger UI how this API looks like, right? However, before going there, here we see the view is rendered, and then navigate to response tab to see what response this request URL has rendered. We see that it is success, and we got the response. And what is the response? Then we see a nice list, nice view of JSON, right? This is the JSON response. JSON object notation, right? That is JavaScript object notation. That's what JSON means. And within this, we see case info and then referenced users and UI resources, right? Just a bit more. UI resources, as the name suggests, it has a lot of details which are used to render the UI, right? The views, this is exactly the views which I have seen in the backend. So these, like I see py case summary, how it is getting rendered, and the whole list of things I can see over here. You can go into each and every bit of detail because you have the JSON. It won't take much time to understand how this JSON is powering up the UI, what we are seeing on the screen. Now, what we'll do is, that's fine. Now we understood high level, okay. We are hitting a URL, DX API, and then we're getting the response. Likewise, we just saw one such request. Likewise, an application in this web portal, which is the Cosmos React web portal, there will be so many DX APIs involved, right? When we hit, then we get to see the responses in various use cases. Now, for that, it would be nice for you to understand the whole list of DX APIs, and how you can explore that is I'm navigating to Dev Studio. For that, I've taken another incognito window to show you that we are in the same app, we are in the same application and in the Dev Studio. And from here to navigate to DX APIs, we know the link. We have seen it in the last session as well. We go to the resources and Pega API. We click on this, then we get to see the service package, which is V2DX API. It takes few moments to load. Once it loads, we will take a look at what kind of operations are supported from this view. Yeah, and the view, whatever you will see here, is a UI Swagger UI based view. Like it is a standard these days. Any APIs which are getting hosted usually follows this UI. It will be very easy to understand, which gives you segregation, like nicely what is the request type, whether it is GET or POST, and what is the endpoint URL, and what are the resource path parameters or query string parameters. You get to see all of that in one go. That's the beauty of this UI. Yeah. So much before to that, okay, assume that you're not familiar with any of this. But just prior to this, we have seen one DX API from the developer tools, right? And that is this one. And what is the name of the DX API? That is assignment. So we will search for this. Yeah, let's get started. And we also noticed it is a GET request, right? From the, if you would have noticed, if you haven't noticed, just you can go back in this video and take a look. It was a GET request and we got the 200 response. So we will search for this particular API here, which is assignments. And then it is a GET. Yeah, this is the one where we have passed assignment ID. Now how to run this one? From here to verify, I just want to run the API here. Then I would like to see the response myself on this UI so that I can tally with the one which I got from the portal. Yeah, that gives me, I would say, more satisfaction that this service is returning a response. So in this way, not only this particular operation, if you go to any other API method, it would work in the same way, right? Even on the portal or from here. So what we do is, we will quickly try it out. The first thing we have to notice here is, you must have noticed already, there is something called authorize. I haven't authorized as of now myself to this. So when I try it out, what happens? Whenever we are hitting a service and it is not actually authorized, then we should get 401 error, right? Let's go and try that out. So for that, I need to have the assignment ID. Now, what is the assignment ID? We were actually dealing with one assignment, right? Which is P2009. What I'll do is I'll copy this ID. Okay, I'll go to Dev Studio quickly to pick, there are multiple ways to pick it. I'll quickly pick it up from assign-work list table. And I'm searching for this. Yeah, I got the assignment and I will pick the INS key from here. Okay. And this is the PCINS key. So I'm going to pass this to, I need to pass this to this API. But what happens, I'll also take the note in Notepad so that it will be handy for me while trying this out. So this is the key what we have collected. Now let's go and make a hit. And what happens, since we're not authorized, it should throw us 401 error. Yeah, which is expected. So it clearly said, okay, we have executed this particular operation. And then we got so and so response, which is 401. Yeah. Now let's go and try to authorize ourselves. Yeah. How we do that? I click on authorize. Then it asks for, there are lots of ways here. This follows OAuth 2.0 authentication. And for this, there are multiple flows here. I personally feel it's very important to understand this authorization code. But for this demo, to explore DX APIs, what you need to understand is the password-based one, even with the OAuth 2.0 flow. There is a nice article which I have seen on Pega PDN, which I'll also be placing in the description. If you follow that, even you will be able to configure, but I'll quickly run you through the steps as well. It is quite easy and simple to follow. Okay, first I'll give my username and password, then I must be giving client ID and client secret. For that, in this case, we need to have the OAuth 2.0 client registration, right? So for that, I'm navigating back to Dev Studio and records, and we have this OAuth 2.0 client registration. If you're someone new to OAuth 2.0, what it is and all, anyways, I'll be coming up with one more session on OAuth 2.0 in detail about client credentials flow and even this password credentials and mainly the authorization code grant. Yeah. But for now, let's focus on how to just configure one sample OAuth 2.0 client registration, which is Explore DX API in this case, which I have just created. But you can create a new one in your case. I've just created prior to this demo. So I'm using this one. All I have chosen here as soon as I landed here is I have selected this as password credentials. I have cleared this client credentials option. And you would have noticed I have my client ID. When you are saving this for the first time, you will get to see one more additional button here saying view and download. From there, I have downloaded my client ID and client secret. Okay, what I can quickly do is I can regenerate client secret. That's how it would work for you when you are trying to do it. When we do it for the first time, you see you got the view and download option. Make sure you're downloading these credentials much before you actually I'll open this file so that I know where it is. Okay, and make sure that you are downloading this before you click on save. Now I click on save. From then onwards, we don't see the view and download option. That is fine. I'm assuming most of you are familiar with this, so I'm just running a bit faster. Okay, now we have client ID and client secret. What I'll do is I will try to show you what is the client ID and secret which I have generated in this case. So this is the client ID and here is the client secret. I'll be obfuscating the client secret for security reasons, but you can all probably I'll be obfuscating much more information on this. But important thing for you to note is we need client ID and client secret. So what I'm doing, so we have client ID and client secret. Now switch back to our API, DX API Swagger UI, where we are trying to explore, right? And I'll be giving this client ID and client secret. Okay. So, and then I click on authorize. So it should allow me to proceed. Yes, since I am allowed user here, I gave the right credentials, right details. It allowed me and it said, okay, if I want, I can log out. No, I don't want to log out right now. I would like to experiment on few more DX APIs, right? We would like to do that. So for now, I'll click on close of this model dialog. Now we are here. So this time we are trying to hit the same request, execute, and we should be seeing 200 error instead of 401, right? So we have passed the INS key. We are noticing this is the endpoint we are hitting by passing the assignment ID, which is in this case this one. And yes, view type, what we need is page in this case. And as soon as we execute, now it should change, the code should be the status 200 and we should see the response which is as expected. So I clicked on execute and then you noticed we have 200 and then the response which is as expected, like you have seen on the developer tools last time, right? All the case info content and what else? A few more details. I have compared this one to the one which is there on the developer tools already. It's exactly the same format and the same detail what I have received. Okay, so you can also give a try for this. So as of now, we just explored one API, one DX API, which we have seen from the portal, right? We have seen that from Swagger UI, and also we have seen that from the App Studio, from the network trace. Okay, so far we are good. We have seen one such use case. Like this, what's the big deal? You might say, but there are so many other APIs in the same way. If you want, you can go through each and every assignment method and provide the parameter it needs and then get the details. Last time I remember we were exploring portals. right? So let me check the portal one. So if you would like to see how the portal works, you see portal slash portal ID. And what is the portal ID? If you know the portal ID, that means if I try this out, then I should be getting the one which I need. Example, in this case, for our web portal, if we pass the portal ID, then that's it, we should be getting the response. Yeah. Now what I'll do is, for this session, I'll focus on showing you how this assignment and service package is mainly how this is working basically. Okay, like most of you must be aware of this, but for some beginners who would like to understand, I would like to show you how this DX API is packaged in Pega, like in the form of service package. Yeah, if we understand that one thing, one good example, I'm sure you'll be able to explore any other thing on your own. All you have to remember is the method, which is get or post or patch or delete, whatever it is, and then what are the resource path parameters. Okay, like example, let me show you something. So in this case, what is the resource path parameter? So this is the resource path parameter which is going into this URL, resource URL, and there is a query string parameter which is view type, where we are passing that as page. That's why you would have seen on the actual endpoint URL which we collected, there is a question mark followed by this one. Let me open the notepad where we just captured, right? You see there is a question mark followed by view type. So this is a query string parameter and this is a resource path parameter. So that's it. Likewise, you will find almost for all of the DX APIs where you can pass the required parameters, the bare minimum required parameters, and you can see the response and observe it. Okay, now moving to the next important part, right? So we observed in the notepad, we have taken some notes, right? So here we understood that, okay, this is a service package name, which is application. Now let's go there. Moving on to Dev Studio, in service package, you will see that in here, integration records, integration resources, service package, and you will see the one with application, right? You can filter for that. Okay, I have to, sorry, I need to enter application as a service package. If you search for that, you'll find one of it. And yeah, within the service package, so this package has packaged lots of methods under it, which are the service REST. And what are those? You see v2 slash, and then you have v2 is a version, and resource path is assignment, and resource path has resource path parameters as well. In our case, it's a get and assignment. So let's start with assignments too. So under application, again to the notepad, under application we have v2 as a version, and then we have assignment. So I copy this and we use this as a filter because it has a lot of things, right? So yeah, I filtered with assignments. Within this I see I need the one which takes in the assignment ID as a parameter, right? I open this service REST rule to take a look at what type of detail it has, like what methods it support and all. We know that it is, you see here, we know that it is get method. So I'm expanding get, and I see it's an automation. Okay, I can open this automation also to see what kind of processing this is carrying out, right? So as we know, it's actually giving us the details which we have seen in the JSON response. So how is it exactly giving? We can take a look at the inputs. These are the inputs to that resource, and then we are getting, I mean, to that API method, and then we are getting these output, which the main one is view response, right? Which is a JSON. That's the main thing to observe. Like I'm saying, this is one such example. Once you understand the simple example, you can feel free to explore any API on your own, yeah, even if you're new. And then coming to implementation part, how exactly Pega is doing this for this automation. This is similar to any other automation. It's having an activity, and if you open this activity, we will also be able to look at the way how Pega is trying to get this one, right? So I see, yeah, set requested data. It's preparing the requested data for DX API, and it is getting get assign view response v2. This could be common for any assignment in reality, right? So if we are more interested to understand the low level details, we can observe, open, and see what kind of response finally it is setting. Okay, I'm not going in detail, but people who are curious to know more about each and every operation, I would say mostly in my case, I would explore this on demand. But if you already feel like exploring it already, for most of them, feel free. But that's the whole uh, bunch of concepts or the basics that I would like to talk about in this session. Okay, uh, that's it for now. And on that note, we will come back to check. Yeah, so we have covered the DX APIs. We have seen the Swagger UI and how we have executed one of the DX API with the details that are provided from the Auth 2.0 client registration. And coming to DX APIs, we have seen the same method. We have seen the service package and a service activity, how it is configured. In this case, it was service automation, but we have seen how that is configured for one of the DX APIs. And we also discussed, if you would like to know more about other DX APIs, let's take one example of, we saw assignments. Let's take a random example of case. Yeah. And all these cases, if you would like to, if you're interested to take a look at case ID ancestors, just giving an example, if you would like to take a look at this, definitely it needs a case ID. That's fine, you can take out the case ID, but what is exactly under the hood in the service automation or activity, right? For that, we can go in the same way here, where we say service package as application, and we can go to the resource, right, which is in this case cases. V2 is the version we know, and resource path, we can give the cases as the keyword, and then it fetches all the resource paths that are available, the methods that are available. In our case, what we would like to explore is case ancestors. So what I'll do is here, I will search for ancestors instead of cases. Okay, or I already see it over here. I see that it is ancestors, so I can navigate directly to this. Okay, but let me give it a try, because you might be checking for something else in the same way in reality. It should be self-explanatory. Yeah, so we see this case ID ancestors, and to understand how the service REST rule is defined in the backend, we navigate to here, and then we see, is this a get method? Quickly, yeah, this is a get method, and it has automation and pz get ancestors. Same thing, what are the inputs and outputs? That is the most important thing. We're inputting case ID and we are getting the response list, because it is the list of ancestors, which is fine. And then we move to the implementation part to check what is the source of this, which is an activity pz set parent case info, which is good. And then we get to see how the information is set finally once it receives the response, once it opens and sets the response in its memory, which is good. So at least we understood, because we have seen already the architecture part. Hope things you're able to correlate things with this. On that note, thank you.